Material count just so low. Kanata and Cooper, they have relived this exact situation over and over again throughout Grands. But how many more times do they have to bring it back to life?
Yeah, what do you do here? Like, he needs to get into a fight. They land on a team. It's Paco and Mixon here. They definitely have the HP advantage. But Kanata's turning up right now. Beautiful tag to keep him in the game right now. Otherwise, Surge would have already been doing damage because it is now officially active and they just slipped below. So it's all or nothing right now for Kanata and Cooper. And that matter, but Cooper's there to back him up and they fend off Paco and Mixon who go running. And this is one of the problems with battling here inside the Underworld. Everyone has dashes, right? It doesn't get any easier. Cooper goes into the box and he finds one. Kanata needs to hit this tag. He gets one and then a second to keep them in the running. And just enough time, Taco, just enough time to get the pickup here onto Cooper.
They are isolated currently from the rest of the lobby. That quick moment of relief, that's the break that they needed here in Game 8. Peterbot, meanwhile, still trying to establish his lead, maintain his dominance. Pikes absolutely massacred in the distance thanks to that waterbending mythic that Peterbot is rocking, but his builds are incredibly low. He definitely still needs to figure out a white heal situation, and he's got to do it fast because he is running out of time. The rest of the lobby starting to pull into his current position. He's playing from the low ground, trying to make sure that nobody spots him out while he's looking for the refarm of his materials.
You got to respect the risk Peterbot's willing to take right here. Most players would probably, you know, throw a little cone over just to safely pickaxe away at that brick, but no, he's want to risk it all just for the small lead there. Let's take a look at G Monster, barely above as well. This is going to be a very, very scrappy endgame. You can just tell, look at all the HP differences with every team in the distance, the nameplates. Folks are hurting everywhere. And this is what you want if you're a player like G Monster right now, but no damage coming his way just yet.
Currently in the top 10 though, this could be a great opportunity for G Money and Reciprocal to build their way up in the leaderboard standings. Only got one elimination. Excuse me, no, that's Peterbot with his one elimination that he found earlier onto Pikes. Trying to do his best to tarp through some of these mid-ground layers, low-ground area, but Hamzo and Rise just on the other side of his walls. Peterbot going for the reload in advance for that waterbending mythic. Wants to make sure that if he does get caught up in an engagement, he's able to have at least some form of fight back, but Cold and Acorn, these two still running it down, dominating the low ground. Aaron and Chance looking like they're on their last bit of life, and sure enough, when Cold and Acorn come knocking on the backside of your walls, you have to expect what they're after. It's just too easy to find these double eliminations.
Yeah, they're just racking them up now. 6 eliminations for them. You get to watch it back one more time. Yeah, how clean that was right there. Ball take, the edit, the Monsters tag right behind it. Kanata and Cooper on the move right now, though. Finding a player into the box, bringing him down, and Kanata gets what he's asked for. And that's a huge pump shot to the face, unfortunately. Can Cooper get the save here? He definitely has enough time on the clock. But no, Trashy gets into the builds there and finishes his duo. That's rough, but hey, he's still alive. Placement points are being given out. But it doesn't really matter. As long as Peterbot's in the game, they're not truly closing the point gap. But pressure on nonetheless. Trashy and Skittles here having a real chance now. Meanwhile, on high ground, Clix and Epic Whale. Put some respect on it. They're going from high ground to high ground, challenging Acorn and Cold down low here.
Might have bit off a little bit more than they could chew, though. They've got to be careful because Acorn and Cold, they've got more than one team on their same layer. Clix and Epic doing what they can to just prevent Bolts from having a chance with Bryce to try and threaten the high ground. All the while, Cooper, backside, immediately spotted out, though. Doesn't even get a chance to keep his run going any further. At least managed to dip into the placement points, so that's for sure. Cold and Acorn, though, dropped from that secondary height all the way to low ground, and it's Peterbot, of all people, who finds that elimination.
The story comes full circle. That is a revenge elimination. If you've been paying attention, Cold took down Boyo earlier. Peterbot claps back in the end game. So he does get the last laugh here as he continues to run away with things, because it does look like, of course, Cooper and Kanata are officially out as well. So look at that here on high ground. My oh my, it's Clix and Epic Whale down low. Bolt and Bryce surging up the standings right now. 3 eliminations and another end game for them. Talk about a big opportunity here for them as they're working their way towards the top 3.
The moment anyone looks up, though, Clix, he only had 6 builds last we checked in. Reet doing what he can to try and escape from the clutches of Bolts and Bryce. Currently controlling the secondary height. They've got a quick pause. Shield potion being utilized, but Clix again, 0 builds. It's Peterbot, though, losing practically all of his HP. Clix didn't find that final shot. Skittles, though, his duo Trashy will make sure to get the job done. But at the same time, Trashy having lost Skittles, Peterbot still very happy at the sabotage he was able to play.
See, Trashy is bouncing back and left and right there, indecisive what side he wants to exit out of the zone. He just sees players everywhere. This is it, though. Finally out of material. Players above him. Players coming out the storm. Bolts just gets rocked, but not before he gets the elimination credit. Meanwhile, Reet and Ritual on the low ground, running things to the ground here. 7 eliminations and counting now as they go for high ground. Bryce is in a battle there, and it's not going to be enough. It seems like Ritual and Reet will maintain the dominant position here against the 2 solos of Bugha and TK. TK eliminated. 2v1 situation. Reet and Ritual managed to do it again here. Another end game for them, and look at this. From out of the conversation to very much in this conversation now. 470 points and counting if they can get this elimination, which they likely would. Bugha's on the run, but for how much longer?
Bugha's got to be down to his final bit of builds, but it's just the split approach now. Bugha isolated finally. Ritual is going to drop down from his perch and make sure to take down Bugha in game number 8. Reet and Ritual, though, way to come alive in this final moments, because this is a much-needed victory royale. That's going to give them some great points in the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's going to at least put them in 2nd place now, because with, you know, getting close to that 500 point mark, at least gives them a real fighter's chance. And look at this, they really have managed to rocket their way back up. Tons of elims, the end game, they played it flawlessly, executed the retake for high ground. You just have to genuinely appreciate the consistency we're seeing all of a sudden now from Reet and Ritual. And not only that, it was from a low ground performance, right? Those are always super, super fun to watch. And respect to Bugha, 2nd place. Bugha also having his time in the limelight. So there it is, game 8 now concluded for the King Reet. And of course, Ritual here back-to-back. And you know what? They've been a long-standing dude. They're only getting better, Taco.
For sure. And I think they just did such an excellent job as well, just staying ahead of the zone, playing that front side. But there's a lot more that took place throughout the course of Game 8. So Zeke, Vivid, Kelly, you know what to do.
Thank you guys so much. Shout outs to Reet and Ritual getting themselves the victory royale. Remember, 100 points. Bing, bang, bosh. Just like that. Get in the VR. It's done. It's over. Competition. All right, everybody go home. We're going. See you guys. Just kidding. Wow, they got themselves the victory royale here. Again, remember, guys, this 1.5 times multiplier, it makes such a massive difference. And all you need is a single game like this, right? Suddenly, this top 5 completely shaken up.
Yeah, there's like 17 storylines that I kind of want to recap after that game, but let's focus on the big one, right? Reet and Ritual grabbing the victory royale. Kelly, this looked a little bit like deja vu, right? Holding the low ground, controlling it, picking up refreshes, and then finally when it comes down to it, yeah, no, they didn't necessarily have to 2v2 for this win, but only solos left in the top 5 outside of them, so it was an easy cleanup.
And we heard Taco talking about it, that they always stuck to the front of zone, and that is due to the fact that they always prioritize those forecast towers, knowing exactly where the zone is going to pull and being able to control the rest of the lobby because of that. And just seeing both of these players fragging out, grabbing 10 eliminations total, and jumping up the leaderboard, I cannot wait to see where they're placing, because unfortunately, Kanata and Cooper, we all thought was the potential hope of being able to take down Peterbot and Poyo, but now it looks like it might be Reet and Ritual.
Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. It's almost like we had some standings, we could take a look. We'll get there in a second because, yeah, you guys are going to see this top 5 and you'd be like, I'm sorry, one game did what? No, Peterbot and Pollo are still at the top. Don't just, they're fine. They're on it, their own. I want to keep looking at highlights from this game, though. This game, second of the day, 8 overall. Now players are starting to come alive, right? They're really starting to show up in big ways. And take a look, Reet and Ritual, after that game, the Victory Royale, suddenly, they have just jumped up into second place. They've said, everyone else, step aside. We want some of this Peterbot Pollo action.
491 points for Ritual in second place. Kanata and Cooper Kelly, they are dropping fast.
Yeah, they just keep getting into these rough situations where Kanata's going down early and Cooper just can't hold it out too long. And it's so rough to see, but still we have 4 more games to go in this 1.5 format. There's still plenty of opportunity for them to jump into our top 3 spot right here. And you can see in 7 Zone just what shambles they are in. And it's actually Cooper that went down early here, with Kanata being able to bring him up, but unfortunately it only lasted for so long.
Yeah, and listen, another kind of storyline that I think is the biggest one so far after those 2 games. Of course, we have day 1 and then we have day 2. So far, the best performing team on day number 2 right now. Zeke, you want to go ahead and guess, actually? Can you guess what the best performing team on day number 2 so far is?
Is it Reet and Ritual?
Nope, it's not. By 2 points, it's Bugha and Agers. Look at them, 6th place right now. They started the day in 28th. How are they in 6th?
Jumping up 9 placements. 9 placements. 9 placements, Kelly. You talked about it. The 1.5 times multiplier. You just need one good game.
That's so true. And I'm looking back to their day 1 performance where, you see 34th, 24th, 47th. They've gotten a 3rd and a 2nd place so far. They're performing the way that Peterbot and Pollo did yesterday. So that means that the Victory Royale is going to be next, right? Because I think that's what the script was for day 1.
Yeah, you guys talk about it. I'm gonna look at the script real quick. Hold on one second.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I mean.
Yep, that's what it looks like. I mean, I don't know. I didn't write the script. Yeah, guys, we only have 4 more games left to go here. With this multiplier, things are really starting to shake up, right? And I'm really starting to get worried because some of these duos, like Kanata and Cooper, they're kind of put in these shambles situations. What are you guys seeing out of these games? Why are kind of duos, especially now when we kind of need to be putting on these big numbers, what's happening?
You know what I think it is, right? Of course, Kanata and Cooper, they land to the west of Grimgate. And kind of me and Kelly were talking about this. Peterbot and Pollo aren't actually really rotating out of Grimgate over the course of the first 2 games. And it's creating this little area around Grimgate where there's like 7 teams, right? Because everyone's getting held up by Peterbot and Pollo still being there. Whereas yesterday, all these teams were able to just walk through Grimgate. And I think that's kind of messing up Kanata and Cooper's rotate. So we have to see them adjust.
Oh, that's a good point. Also, I want to point out Peterbot using Zeus's Lightning in that game from halfway across the map. Absolutely wild. I just think that there's nothing that they can't pull out right now and somehow find a way to make it work. So even though that wasn't the best game we saw from Peterbot and Pollo, still being able to come out strong. I mean, they got 10th place. That's the worst performance they have had all weekend long.
Not bad, right? Not bad at all. Another duo doing pretty well. Bryce and Bolts, right, currently sitting in that top 3. They have to just hold on, right? They're thinking, this is my global championship spot. I'm literally looking at the seat.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy for this team to go ahead and pull it out, right? I mean, of course, we're used to saying Bryce and Chubbs, but now Bryce and Bolts, and this has been a team that's been playing extremely well. A 23rd place was game number 7, so not that good, but they picked it back up in that game right there. 4th place, Kelly, with 9 elims.
And what I love to see from this duo is that they were so placement heavy yesterday, where I think the most amount of eliminations they got was only 5. And to see them here, 9 eliminations as well, that's good to see. And I think a lot of that has to do with that they're not too worried about Storm Surge tags. They do such a good job taking these long range tags, and that allows them to get into the mid and late game without too much concern. Because again, Storm Surge is just such an issue for so many duos.
Yeah, we still haven't quite locked down the formula we need, right? A lot of duos, again, in shamble situations, but no problem. We have 4 more games to go. Anything can and will happen. With that being said, though, game number 9 is ready for us. So find your seats on the bus. It's go time.
Thank you, Zeke. And I think I speak for the community when I say I remember Bryce's reactions back at the last in-person event, the shocking look of winning in person. I'd love to see him back, of course, on the big stage, if you will. So the top 3 shaking up here, Taco. I don't think we expected it to be such a different top 10 already.
But at the same time, we definitely anticipated maybe a little bit of shakeups because that 1.5 times point multiplier, we saw it earlier today in EU. Andalex and Sato, have to give them an honorable shout out, from 46th all the way to 5th because of this day 2 multiplier, MDF. So now, game number 9, let's see what happens next.
Game 9.
I am right there with you because new teams are popping up. Aegis and Bugha from the gutters to the top of the standings right now. Of course, you have Bryce and Bolts here. Even that, like we just talked about, it doesn't even roll off the tongue the way I'm so used to some of these other duos that have participated with one another. But a team that has been sticking it out side by side is Reet and Ritual. And I can really respect the fact that they've continued to remain not only strong as a pairing, but seems to have been finding their stride here in today's competition. But here's a team that has to come back, man. Blake and Macwood, come on. Do it for the fellas here. They had a chance. They won game 6 yesterday. We're in game 9. They were taken out last round. This is a opportunity now for Blake and Macwood to go ahead and prove that they could be the stronger duo here. Otherwise, I mean, their chances are just going to be out the window. And I think their confidence as well, Taco, if they can't win this early game battle here.
It's definitely not been an easy one, but Blake, despite taking that 15 fall damage early on, it's all because of the fact he just wanted to rush over to these slap barrels, get full utility out of them. It's always the vault at Grand Glacier that they are after, and they know it's only a matter of time before School and Thoric are trying to pinpoint their exact location. Likely going to be a brief fight between those two very shortly here to come. And Victor and B-Dog, though, just tuning in here at the estate station. They had a little bit of action early on. Poppy Blast Dragon, again, the team that we talked about, just kind of playing map roulette at this point, but they are running into problems everywhere they go.
Good little clapback here for Rapid and Batman Bugha. Game 8, they were eliminated super early. Ooh. Okay, Rapid, show us what you got, kid. There you go. He puts quick work onto Crisp and Vorteca there before Batman Bugha can even jump in. No fear. All accurate. Well played for him. There's fights going on everywhere. So this is, you know, this is the point I feel like in the tournament where we can really see that duels have gotten into their groove. They're comfortable with the battles. I think early game jitters, they're gone. Everyone knows now it's put up the performance or make excuses for later. And it does seem like G-Monster is in a 1v1 right now. Has the shield advantage here and the tag advantage.
Nice.
That finishes the job pretty quickly there for him and Reciprocal. And you know what? They were the stronger pairing of the duos here as far as points are concerned at the moment. 283 now. Big swing for them.
A little bit of a hindrance, though, for G-Money, as he's going to have to now run all the way back to Rebel's Roost, utilize that reboot van. But kind of revisiting the topic, though, Chris Vorteca, I mean, yes, we see a big win for Batman Bugha and Rapid, but Research Rock was uncontested typically for Crispin Vorteca, so maybe just caught by surprise by a little bit of shakeups. As Blake and Macwood, they try to write their own story here currently. School, Thoric, both relatively low, but Blake, in a similar circumstances, last of the splashes, going to be expended here now as Macwood, a little bit of overheight, almost gets the right side peek onto Thoric. Luckily, the backup from Blake is good. Macwood, even better still, knocked onto School. It's all down to Thoric now to keep Game 9 dreams alive. But Blake and Macwood, they are not going to back down. They know exactly what kind of advantage has just been presented to them. And sure enough, Blake on the wraparound. 2 eliminations here now for Blake and Macwood, and the entirety of Grand Glacier to themselves.
Yeah, Thoric cannot make that mistake. School can't make that mistake where they just allow Macwood to take the cone. I mean, there was so much time for them to, you know, really protect themselves, and I mean, they almost get what they asked for there. Meanwhile, Peterbot picked up an elimination while we were focused in on Macwood and Blake there, and it does look like it was onto the hands of Zabi here, who's outside the Grim Gate. We talked about teams that have been almost, you know, plans thwarted, if you will, because Peterbot and Boyo decided to just stick around in Grim Gates and say, hey, you know what? Let the team come to us, man. Yesterday we played a little bit more aggressively, moving out of our draw spot, but today we're going to stick around now. So I feel like they're just like out, you know, maneuvering all the competition's likely new strategies.
They hadn't even gone for Cerberus yet, though. That's the other impressive part. They were just hunting that early elimination onto whoever just happened to stumble into their turf here at Grim Gate. But now, not a soul in sight. It's all going to come down to Peterbot and Boyo collecting that aspect of agility one more time. However, Kanata and Cooper, they have been in very dire situations all throughout the course of today. Even yesterday was a rough one, but they still managed to make it work. Up against the likes now of Yuumi and Vert. Kanata and Cooper, though, they're pretty split. They could have two very good angle approaches. Cooper's able to open up a line of sight from behind Yuumi and Vert. That could be a surprise bit of damage. But first off, Kanata, he's got to be able to hold his own. There's a lot of pressure being applied at the same time from Yuumi and Vert. Now they're going to have to pay note to Cooper approaching from behind. And Cooper, that's going to be his heads up. He just needs to reunite with Kanata and look for a different method of approach.
That Splash is going to come down. They got what they were looking for, some damage. No elimination, so they back off. Meanwhile, Bugha and Agers continuing to play well today. Things haven't gotten easier, though, here at the Mount Olympus. They have continued to remain contested by one team or another.
But for Yuumi and Vert, again, a team that was traditionally landing over by Classy Courts, seems like they got sick of the two other teams contesting them there, potentially Kazens and Junior, as well as Tankacito and Dios. So just very interesting to see how these kinds of methods develop for different teams. It's Bugha and Agers encountering some troubles, but at the same time, with the Wings of Icarus and the fast rotates on those short distances, Bugha seems as if he doesn't necessarily want to take that fight. He just wants to prioritize getting a little bit more resources in general.
Paco's already lost Mixon right now, so he's getting hunted here by Curly. It's the final desperate stand here. Yeah, he knows it. We know it. He is cranking right now. And this is what you want to do. Hit your shots. Stay on high ground. Don't allow the team to best you. And they are doing exactly what they need to do. Chop it down. Don't give them the fair 1v1. All around, we're seeing exactly what we should. And in good Fortnite fashion, a third party comes in. So, you know, everything is going the way it is supposed to here, which is unfortunate for Paco right now, who's been putting up an excellent defense so far. Ooh, great tag. But not going to be enough in the end.
Too much of an HP disadvantage, but for Raze, the damage has been done. That massive tag at the end still going to be his demise, because Rapid, Batman, Bugha, they know they've got the knock. They're going to immediately take the zip line. That initial crank up is what drew the attention in the first place, along with the shots being fired. Batman, Bugha, and Rapid, though, still going to play this a little bit slower than I'd initially anticipated, given how aggressive they had seemed like they wanted to be. But no, the call to back off. Check the minimap. It's another team likely scouted out by Rapid because of this overhead view that they've currently got. And Batman Bugha thinks better still. Doesn't want to get caught in a third-party circumstance like what he just performed up against the likes of his opposition.
Yeah, still opting to hold it down, though. Has the stronger angle, has a zip line he could camp out here, so for sure has options. But yeah, the bunker's opening up now. That's going to be the reward for, of course, sticking this zone play out. Meanwhile, Re and Ritual seeing what they have managed to put together for their early game. It's a rotation. They're in the zone, but not quite safe just yet. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Boyo, what is going on over here? It's a battle outside the Grim Gate. G Monster and Reciprocal. We saw them playing that north side, lingering around, but it looks like they were sticking around for a little too long. So now they have the attention.
This is not the kind of attention you want either. So much heat on G Money and Reciprocal's current position. Peterbot just gonna clear out a couple of trees, get a little bit of brick and wood re-established for his builds. But again, Peterbot and Boyle, they just have the full luxury of deciding when they actually want to commit to an engagement. And currently, it just doesn't seem as though anybody can actually threaten their current position in this game. And it's just going to be even more difficult still for other teams. As Vivid and Kelly pointed out on the desk, nobody can really rotate through Grim Gate. That's normally a nice and easy shortcut using some of the underworld dashes and whatnot, but Peterbot and Poyo just holding down that entire section of the map. Everyone else kind of at their mercy.
Gotta hit these tags here. They're not gonna reveal themselves this easy later on in the games. That's for sure.
Fun's over once the waterbending mythic comes out. Players just hanging out in their respective surge towers. Bolts, Bryce, big tag. That's the headshot that Bolts was looking for. Those are the kinds of damage applications that you need to be consistent with if you don't want to worry about your surge later on in this match. And when we talk about the fact that Bolts and Bryce, they're really on a run right now. They just squeaked into that third place position on the leaderboard. And keep in mind, yes, there's always a prize pool involved, but at the end of the day, these players, they're fighting for their ticket to Texas because they want to be a part of that global championship.
Ritual read on the move right now. A little bit of the low ground here. The Reckless Railways. This is kind of cool though, because like we just saw, Bryce's position is just above them, so a clash might be imminent here for Ritual and Reet. We'll see how things start developing a little later into the game. 40 duos still remaining here in game number 9. The grand finals right now. Things are starting to cook up here. The Rift Island's gonna awaken as well. Boyo and Peterbot have a chance to go for it. We've seen them do this before. Not that they really need anything, judging by the loadout. Hey, tags are nice. Fights are fun. They have such a monstrous lead. They could do anything. Peterbot pushes in as I say that. And it's Krizix who gets caught off. Isolated there, trapped, if you will, before he can even make a move. That's crazy.
That quick stat even wilder still. Peterbot has more eliminations on his own, 34, than any other duo has combined. As a solo, that is just a ridiculous feat to accomplish. And now Peterbot, he wants to extend that number even further still. Yasir was trying to claim the capture point, but knew it was likely only a matter of time before he got pressured himself after losing his duo, Krizix, just moments ago. Yasir building on the side of Rift Island, finally forced to drop, but Peterbot, he's got dashes, no problem. He's gonna follow still. Yasir down to his last little bit of HP.
Ooh.
Made it into the rift just in time. But Boyo still at the top. Another team as well taking note of Yasir gliding through the sky. If it wasn't Poyo, it could have been anyone else in that circumstance, but Peterbot and Poyo, they just have zero intentions of slowing down anytime soon.
You know, Taco, back in the day, there was this really old tech that you could actually weapon swap in the air and get one shot off when you hit the rift and you first spawn in at the top. I thought for a moment, I just had a flashback, like, is Peterbot gonna be able to pull that off? Like, and if you remember how to do it, it might still be an option. That would have just, I think that would have bricked the internet. Not that, you know, he's kind of already done that. I believe he's trending at this point. But nonetheless here, Clix and Epic Whale, the Lavish Lair, still at their home drop spot. So it seems like they've moved back in after taking a couple fights, and their material count is showing us that it's been a bit of a struggle here.
It's been the narrative of their entire Grand's performance so far. Just struggling game after game with maintaining their materials and resources. Even the heal situation, not exactly what I would consider to be ideal. 25 Fizz, 4 Clix, 5 bandages, 2 bananas. Maybe Epic's got a little bit better loot at their disposal, but at the same time, if you're gonna take as many early game engagements as they seem to be going for, playing for the weapon bunker, they've got to be able to close them out. And it's just been so difficult throughout the course of this weekend because so many teams are either just backing off entirely after getting a little bit of surge tags in tow, and then that leaves both sides essentially to just have burned through so many mats, and neither really prospering for it.
Gotta weigh the risk of investing this early, but hold up. Cole picked off from Waterbending Mythics off in the distance here. Bush comes out. It's Baka and Pars right now, likely putting some pressure in. Oh no, it's Saucy and Frost from a crazy angle up top. They just got a tag there onto Cold as well. They've surely pinpointed them out. We need to shoot back, Acorn. I don't know what you're doing right now, but just allowing them to fire down like this is unacceptable.
Acorn, I think, just waiting for Cole to regenerate some of those shields off of the small shield potions that they had available. Splitting a little bit of their heals around, but Saucy and Frostbond, they might be able to count their lucky stars for the time being. Acorn probably recognizing the fact that with the current location of Rift Island, it'd be very difficult for them to immediately challenge where they're being aggressed from because they don't want to expose themselves in case there's teams still lying about on Rift Island. As we know from the luxury of the casting position, that bird's eye view, Peterbot Pollo, they're the ones hanging out top of Rift Island, and they have Waterbending Mythics at their usage, so it can be tough to escape if they spot anybody out. Same circumstance here for Rise and Yamzo. Just applying a decent bit of pressure to teams slightly west of their current location, and it's for good reason. 18 below, but they found their opportunity. They're trying to pounce. Bryce and Bolts utilizing some of their hard materials, probably gauging. This is a team that is clearly desperate. They're trying to go way too ham into our walls. We'll just back off. We'll create some space. We'll let the Storm Surge do the rest for us.
Yeah, this is a cool fight because Bryce and Bolts are holding third place right now. And not only that, Rise and Yamzo likely have a very good chance before the year's over to also appear at the LAN. So this could be a storied clash in the making right now. Let's see it. Yamzo and Rise starting to make a move here. 102 below. They have to get in and find this duo, but they've lost track of them. And Bryce and Bolts, I think, have just outwitted them by positioning a little bit better. And there goes Bryce, turning things around, and like they should have definitely won that. But still, Yamzo is alive, so it's not over yet.
But again, Yamzo, Rise, they were below that surge threshold. They went from 18 to 89 last we checked in. Yamzo could potentially still be suffering, but granted, now he recognizes the fact that he's split between 2 separate teams. And it's going to get even more difficult still because 135 below, now he needs more than just one good shot. He needs a couple, if not several or more. Time just slipping through his fingers as he tries to navigate his way into finding some form of action that won't get him fully eliminated in the process.
Yamzo just holding on by a thread right now. Another duo on the walls here. Can he escape? These are not his builds. Open wall to the side. Very difficult spot to play out of. Definitely unlikely he survives much longer. There it is. Fully finished. Meanwhile, Kanata also fighting with his own demons on the other side here. He's got Zavi down low and Neko there. Finishes them up. Those are Not only good damage, but a good set of eliminations for him. Let's go ahead and keep him in the running right now. Kanata is trying to fight back for second place here at this point. He's lost the lead to Ritual and Reet.
That's gotta hurt. His shield is already only barely hanging above that halfway point. A couple small shield potions, very valuable resources that you typically want to be able to hold, especially when the builds can put you in a tough spot. But Cooper and Kanata, this is by far one of the best positions that we have seen them in so far today. And now it all comes down to whether or not they can transition this into an excellent late game run, because they're gonna need it if they want to retake their position second on the leaderboard. First it comes down, these players in the boxes, they know these builds do not belong to them. They've got a little bit of height leverage now, turning back, trying to spray and control where everyone else is rotating behind them.
Not only that, they used their underworld dashes that they were keeping in the chamber as well. So this is it. It's all or nothing now for them to try to find these tags here. And if things don't go well with teams in a distance, they'll just have to jump on the team below them, and that's Larson and Oliver OG. So keep your eyes here locked in on Kanata and Cooper. Not looking good for Epic Whale in the distance. His teams are focusing in on him. Bach and Pars being one of the few to put pressure down. Meanwhile, Bolts is down, and Bryce is in the storm here. And although he doesn't have an issue with the Surge, he's got an issue with the lobby pressuring him, and there it is. Our third place team has been taken out, fallen, if you will.
That is so big for Kanata and Cooper. But as we already know, they are not the only ones trying to regain positions on the leaderboard. Cold and Acorn. 4x scope on the Nemesis AR just makes the accuracy all the easier to come by. A good pickup, a good knock coming out of Cold. And Acorn and Cold will immediately dive even further onto that position. Tavern, the next elimination that they're able to claim. Decent pickups all across the board here. But it's really Reet and Ritual who are trying to just ensure that they replicate their recipe for success so far here today. They've got Azens completely on the run, but Reet and Ritual, they don't necessarily need that elimination. What they do need, though, is some material. So actually, I take it back. A refresh. There's only one way to get it, so Hazens isolated as a solo. That might be what Reet and Ritual are looking for.
Yeah, they're coming off a 10 elimination win, so a top 20 here is not too bad. However, this is where they managed to find the bulk of their eliminations. Meanwhile, Cold and Acorn just... Where was this Cold and Acorn yesterday when we needed them to actually have a foundation to start with here today? Because if they would have done well, we would see them very, very likely up at the top based off of their performances so far. Just trending in the right direction right now, playing exceptionally well here for day two. So is Macwood and Blake, low-key. If they didn't fall in Game 8, they'd also be up somewhere at the top because they've managed to continue to play for high ground. I think Blake and Macwood just figured it out. You know, Macwood's going back to his early high ground, young Calc, Macwood days. Back when Zexro was in the conversation, like, just go for height. And he's taking Blake with him, and I love this.
Everything just stems right back to the very start for a lot of these teams, though. Acorn and Cold. Again, the vault fight against Yasir and Krizix. That early 50-50 doesn't seem like it's been a factor. Same case scenario for Blake and Macwood. Whenever they win the off-spawn against School and Thoric, they're able to make some very real runs into the late game. Muzz, unfortunately, on the other side of the barrel, just scoped down and eliminated. But that's some good looks for Blake and Macwood. Another 6 points off that elimination. Better opportunities even still to make another run here. Try and get some high placement points.
6 below, the damage continuing to be an issue here. Peterbot and Boyo shredding players out the sky, you know, just doing Peterbot and Boyo things as they go for high ground now. And they have the material count to hold it here. It's a perfect executed high ground take as we're inside the zone 10, just a couple of moments now before this zone fully closes out. And look at this, they get the elimination credit onto Yuumi, who just got picked up in the nick of time by Vert there. So double points likely earned for them there. Meanwhile, Pars and Baka trying to fight for top 3 too. You know, honestly, top 3 is really, really gonna be contended for. Second and third place is Reed and Ritual have managed to put up big numbers. Kanata and Cooper here, Blake and Macwood. I mean, NA wants this global championship seat. We're seeing that play out for sure.
Yeah, but Batman Booga and Rapid, they're going to shut down any hopes that Baka and Pars might have had in Lobby 9. Booga and Agers found a little crevice here. A moment to try and regain their thoughts, figure out, do we aggress the high ground? Do we just keep trying to tarp through the low instead? But it's only Cold and Acorn on secondary height that might have a real opportunity here to threaten Peterbot and Pollo up top. Instead, it's it's Ritual. Pump as well, directly behind, but Reed's gonna be the first to get knocked. Can't dance around the cone any longer. Cold credited with yet another one. 5 in total, 7 altogether. As Kanata and Cooper, no builds, but they still got the dream going here. They saw Bryson Bolts likely falling in that elimination feed. That's a big shout for them to try and reclaim at least their spot in the top 3.
Miro down, Pump down, Reed down, Booga down. You know, everyone's just falling at this point. Ritual finally eliminated as well. Meanwhile, Kanata and Cooper just working their way through the low ground here. No material. Bunkering down between the builds as Cooper and Kanata down low versus Acorn and Cold. In the mid ground, it's Blake and Macwood. And I think Peterbot and Pollo have jumped in to put their interest in the mix here. 8 eliminations for Cold and Acorn in a top 3 here, Taco.
But even better still is Peterbot and Pollo's current position. They've got enough resources. Cold credited with another one. Kanata found out on this low ground, low versus height. It's gonna be the same storyline we've seen time and time again here in NA, but Peterbot and Pollo, they are definitely in the driver's seat as Acorn tries to fight back, but it's just not good enough. Pollo gonna be first one to drop down. Cold though has worked his way up to the high ground. He's fighting against Peterbot. He's actually knocked Peterbot. Cold could clutch this, but no! Pollo shuts it down. Another victory royale for Peterbot and Pollo here in day 2.
Peterbot and Pollo just had too much of an advantage in the high ground from 10th zone onwards. We knew what was gonna happen, but we had to let the clock run and let it play out. In the end though, Acorn and Cold definitely have one of the more impressive performances now for the second day of the FNCS Grand Finals. Well, that was game number 9. Let's take a look at those highlights one more time. It was the Peterbot and Pollo show once again here. And, you know, again, all credits to Blake and Mac with another endgame here, really showing up for this FNCS Grand Finals right now in the final moments. But in the end, Pollo manages to do it again here alongside Peterbot, respectfully winning another game. It is looking very much like we all anticipated, which was big wins, flashy performances here, Taco.
Look, we know Peterbot and Pollo have got first place locked down, but as far as second and third are concerned, things could start to get very questionable. So I want to take a look at those leaderboards. So Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly, what you got?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys. Me again. How's it going? Vivid, I don't know what to say. Take over, please. Wow, another Victory Royale. That's 4. That's 4 from Peterbot and Pollo. You know what's crazy is EU, you know, they ended 888 points. And apparently Peterbot and Pollo, they're trying to speed run a record. David, they said, EU, you think you're better? No. We're just gonna go ahead and get 842 points, 4 Victory Royales out of 12 games. Vivid, I don't know what we're watching here. This is absolutely an insane performance of just ridiculous proportions. They've not had a game outside of top 10. They have not had one game outside of top 10.
Yeah, no, they are playing insane. And, you know, Kelly, I remember we were kind of talking about Peterbot and Pollo, right? Like, it seems like they're going to win, and they can kind of coast to the win. But there was one thing that we wanted to note about this duo, and it's that they like to set records. And they set many records this season, but in grand finals, they continue to set records. This is the all-time NAC record for victory royales in a finals. And Kelly, they also have tied the record with 9 for the most consecutive top 10 games. You know what? You know what happened last time a team did that? That was
Peter Boyle.
All they need
Peter
is
Boyle.
70 more points to
Y'all
break
are
the all-time
crazy.
record for points set by Zago and Shalom in Major 1, 912 points. And the way that they're going, I think they're going to achieve that.
Yeah, so next game, right? Next game.
Yeah.
It's all good. They'll be there. They'll be there. You know what? This is now the Peter Bot Boyo show. I don't think anyone else has any question. These guys are basically your FNCS champions. All right, congratulations to them. We'll go and do this mad early. Congrats. I think we shift the conversation right now. Remember, global spots still on the line. What I want to do is start thinking about these standings and how these are coming together, because with 2 spots, whoever ends in those top 3, they're punching their ticket to the global championships, right? They're saying, hey, look, we're going, we'll be there, we'll be in Dallas, we're gonna fight for a global championship title. And there's definitely a few names that are standing out to me here in this lobby, okay? Aside from Peter Bot Poyo,
I'm gonna say now.
they're doing amazing,
gonna get,
okay?
like, top
Reet and Ritual here, though, really putting on quite a
10
performance for
to
us
20.
here in Grand Finals of Major
And
number
global,
2.
'cause that's
And you know,
that's
they're
a
still
landing
sitting
zone.
really strong in second place. Now it's just about holding on, right? There is a little bit of a lead, but that 1.5 times multiplier, it could kind of spell disaster if they slip up even a single time. Take a look in second place, 569 points. To Kanata and Cooper's 518. So guys, this is still very close, but now they just have to start trying to push everyone else away.
Alright. W for Man City, Cold, and Day Acorn. Ooh, Seek and Dash are getting on the leaderboards.
See a good game from Kanata and Cooper, which is awesome to see, right? Like listen, I mentioned that the first 2 games, maybe some stuff was going on over at Grimgate. They had to make those adjustments. I don't 100% know if that's what was actually going wrong, but it seems like in game 3, finally, we see them where they're comfortable. They make it to the end game. They got their Storm Surge, looking healthy. They got extra builds, extra heals, and they made it to the end game, Kelly, and finally put up a good game.
Well, they actually were under Storm Surge at Zone 9. It wasn't until these final moments where they are on the low ground grabbing these eliminations that they were able to go above Storm Surge there. So I think you're still right that Karen's Crossing that they're landing is just not that close to anyone else. And then the rotations that they have to make through, where probably Peterbot and Poyo are eliminating everyone so that there's no one else for them to get shots on. But still, you're right. To see them be able to jump back up after the performance that we saw from them yesterday, that's good to see that they're not allowing this kind of negatively affect them. But Acorn and Cold still jumping up 5 placements into 5th place. Speaking of jumping up, Blake and Macwood also jumping into our top 10, but let's go back to Acorn and Cold.
Listen,
Take the words right out of my mouth.
I said
take the words right out of my mouth.
I tried to tell him, Zeke. I said, Acorn and Cold, don't do this. Don't do this. Day 2, we're gonna show up and fly up the leaderboard. 20 million play. Are you guys serious? 5th place, 406 points. It doesn't really tell the story of Acorn and Cold. And honestly, I'm gonna combine this with Bugha and Agers. Both of those 2 duos. If you were here to hear me say those names, you'd be like, oh yeah, probably after day 1 they were in 5th place, so it's kind of cool to see them in 5th. No, both of those teams did not have a good day 1. And the fact that they are both now towards the top of this leaderboard and potentially fighting for top 3 is absurd. I mean, I think that's got to be where our focus has to be.
And
Without a doubt.
Keep in mind, like, yes, they, Acorn and Cold, again, they've got spots. They were the first duo in NA to secure a spot to global championships. So at this point, they're fighting for prize money, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, even if they, let's say they somehow dethrone Peterbot and Poyo. Cool, then they're at this point they have spots, so they're playing for the prize money above all else. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm getting word. Games are ready to go. Once again, congratulations, Peterbot Poyo. You guys probably won, but let's see who secures these spots going to the global championships with our casters. MDF, Best Taco.
Yeah, that definitely solidifies what I would call is the checkpoint mark here for the second half of the grand finals today, as we're now Taco jumping into game 10 here shortly.
It's got to be such a good feeling if you are Peterbot and Poyo, though. But again, we're still looking at some of the other teams to make their way across the finish line. 2nd and 3rd place, 1,000% still up for grabs. So many teams with their eyes on. And with game number 10 starting, we'll see what happens next.
Grand Finals Game 10 is now beginning. And you know what? It's nothing but entertainment for us here at the Casters. Front row seats to, of course, the action. The Peterbot and Pollo show has been raging on. And the comeback stories for the likes of Bugha and Agers. I mean, we expect these teams to do well, so it's good to see them put on a performance here for day 2 when we have this 1.5x multiplier because
Probably yet forever. Grand's weekend, but right now, Agers, Bugha, so much duress, and Agers actually an early elimination. The comeback story for Agers and Bugha shut down, and Zeus gonna hit Bugha's own emote on him. The disrespect, MDF.
Oh, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that one. That's rough.
That is crazy work.
Rough. Poppy Blast and Dragon mixing up their drop, going a bit south here, and doesn't work out. Oh, actually, whoa, I spoke a little too soon. I saw Poppy's Blast down and Dragon hurt, and I thought they were finished, but no. Dragon does clutch up there against Victor and B-Dog. Nicely done.
Just not something we've been able to say a whole lot of out of Poppy Blast and Dragon this weekend. They have definitely been more so on the receiving end than anything else, so it's nice to see them with a little bit of fight back still. At the estate station, they'll at least be able to claim that territory early on, but they might still have to deal with the likes of Clix and Epic Will a little bit later on. Cold and Acorn, though, this is really the true question mark of the weekend, MDF, because time and time again, we talked about the fact their day 1, not good. Their day 2, however, has been phenomenal so far, and they're making a very real run at that top 3.
Yeah, you know, I think it's the difference between QuadCon and TripleCon, right? Like, just one less team seems like has started to work for them. And man, what an unfortunate turn of events for Macwood and Blake there, who like when they have made it off the drop, they have really shown us what they're capable of. And for them to fall now, when every other time we've seen them here, especially on their day 2 performances, have been in endgame. It's just got to be disappointing to know that they're contested in what could have been, right? Had they just not had such a fair competition there at the drop, because they're meeting their match essentially.
It has felt like a very even split though between School Thoric, Blake, and Macwood.
Yeah.
Those teams definitely relatively well matched for each other. And now it's also going to come down to School and Thoric. Can they translate this early game off spawn win into a late game run? Because they're another duo that desperately needs some points if they want to get a little bit of leapfrog situation going inside of those leaderboards. Baka and Pars here now at the Ship It station, doing what they can to collect as many resources as possible, kind of expecting them to look to contest or just try to claim outright. Forecast Tower could go a really long way for those two in terms of their mid to late game strategies. And Peterbot and Pollo, the sensation of NA here in Major 2. Cerberus kind of looks like the rest of NA right now. He's just getting dominated.
You love to see it. Peterbot and Pollo, man, what a lead. And this is the framing of their success right there. That aspect of agility, the medallion, giving them all the advantage. Or Zeus Thunderbolt action, if you've been waiting for it. Azens and Magia right now. 166 points earned here after 2 days of performance, coming into game 10 right now. Definitely short, I'd say, of their own expectations. However, we got a fight right now with Jack and Cease here against Pars and Baka. And Jack actually hits the opening tag, but Cease punished as well, so it's even trades on all sides. Like what we're seeing from Jack here as he's trying to claim some of the surrounding land.
Seems as if Baka and Pars, though, they were ready to fight back. Third party from afar. Cease Jack. Unk takes a massive shot straight to the chest, though. Cease on the run now. Can't get around the cone, though. Baka gonna knock him to start things off here. Jack now forced to disengage, trying to see if he can escape. But the waterbending Mythic from afar, Pars also wasting 0 time, goes to the engagement, but Jack, he's still got some life left in him. Now it's Pars who gets knocked in return. It's all gonna come down to what Baka can do next. Fortunately though, Baka does manage to solidify that victory overall, but he's still gonna have to find somewhere else for a reboot ban. He gets Pars' reboot card, but check it out, another team approaching from Pleasant Piazza. And Baka as a solo, he knows he doesn't stand a chance. He doesn't have that many resources left over after that last fight.
Yeah, I just can't help but think, like, Cease intentionally chooses a very mechanical, up-and-coming, promising duo to play with, and that is Jack. But when you have Baka and Pars open to edit on you and you're met face-to-face, that reaction speed, he got hit with 2 shotgun shots before he could even make a move. It doesn't matter how good you are, Baka. This is going to be a hard fight. You have Skittles and Trashy right here going up against the likes of 2 really good OG NA players, and Baka is doing what he has to earn his respect and honestly put the numbers down, forcing the chug splashes, solo splashes out of Trashy here. Says all that we need to know. Here comes the edit. Baits him in. Those are his walls.
Baka just has only a handful of builds left to work with, though.
How do you beat this, right? Like, this is crazy.
It is. It is not looking good for Baka. His best odds currently are just looking for an escape. He'll expend his final splash, picks up a fresh Flowberry Fizz, and is still just trying to escape here. But Trashy, Skittles, they know this is a primo opportunity. They are not trying to let Baka escape. Finally, they whittle him down. They get that elimination that they were after all along. And Skittles, Trashy, now hanging out by the Ship-It station. They can choose where they want to venture next. A little bit more action continuing to pick up here at Reckless Railways as well.
That was a direct exchange of positioning as well on the leaderboards. 8th place taking out 7th, and now they are our 7th place team in the running here. Talking about well-positioned teams, Reet and Ritual, you know, we just gotta jump in with them and see what they're up to. Not looking too hot for the material count, however, little fight potentially breaking out here. You know, one thing we noticed, actually, that I noticed last game is they really didn't have eliminations when they got to the end game. So they're doing something right where they're finding surge damage, although it's not exactly translating into big early game points.
But at the same time, if you get that surge damage early, you're going to get those points eventually because your placement's going to be a lot easier to come by when you can just focus exclusively on your positioning, on your rotations. Reet and Ritual, we've also seen a good amount of low ground play coming out of those two. They've been doing an excellent job at just traversing those low to mid ground layers. And if they can just maintain that same pacing that they've been able to repeat perform so far throughout the course of today, we could definitely be looking at them locking down that 2nd place position.
Got Cooper and Kanata disengaging from Clix and Epic way on the outskirts of the map there. Can't help but wonder if Clix and Epic are due for a big game. We've seen them do it before here on a final stage. Kanata and Cooper making up for that unfortunate kickoff round, really slowing them down. Basically putting them in their own uphill battle for a top 3.
They had top 3 heading into this game. They were able to reclaim it from Bryson Bolts, who had an unfortunate fall much earlier than they would have ever liked in that last match. But I think the big thing for me in Game 9 was Kanata actually clutched up, just managed to outlast Blake and Macwood to lock in that 3rd place for Lobby 9. And that definitely went a long way for them in helping them to overtake Bryson Bolts. But again, they're going to need to keep that up if they want to stay in that position. Quick glimpse of the leaderboard, and we're back. Checking in, Ritual, Reet. Of course, Reckless Railways, not always going to be the most friendly exchanges. And it seems as though School and Thoric, they've rotated now from their position at Grand Glacier, just trying. They've got a long ways west to go from where the zone is pooling. Both sides seem to be fully aware of this. The real victory right now for Ritual and Re is that they've got an ample amount of heals in their favor, and that's definitely going to bode well for them as they finalize making this next rotation.
A lot of teams here, but a couple caught up at the Reckless Railways with a fight, so should be a relatively smooth rotate for them as things start to line up. Meanwhile, Peterbot and Pollo, screw rotating, let's fight. They have nothing to lose right now. It's such a monstrous lead over the competition. We're likely to see them do big things, if you will,